Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Today we are talking with Jen Schwytzer. It's such an honor to have her here with us. She is a social worker turned life coach who helps burned out women find work-life balance. She lives in upstate New York with her 2 dogs and her husband. And they're a young guy that they're fostering, which is so cool. And she's going to tell us a little bit about that. But I just am so in awe of anybody that's willing to take on little guys out there that need a home, need love, and just need stability in their life. That is so cool, Jen. My hat's off to you for that.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
It's great to have you here. Tell us all about you. What do you do? How do you do it? All the stuff.
So I started my career almost 20 years ago, and that is crazy to say because it makes me feel so old. And I started in social work. So I have a master in social work, and I worked a lot in the hospital settings and in the mental health therapy roles. And then I experienced it was basically like overnight. It was my husband had a medical issue, and it made me kind of rethink what I was doing, what I wanted to do, where I wanted to be in my life. And I just one day was like, I think I want to start life coaching. And so my husband was like, okay, great. Sounds good. He was super supportive. I don't think he had any idea what that meant. I'm not sure I knew what that meant. And I went through certification, and I am still going through the transition in my career of going from 100% social work to 100% all-in life coach. So that's a little bit about how I got here.
That is very cool. So what motivated you to really get into the life coaching?
So it was actually during COVID, which is probably, when a lot of people started rethinking what they were doing in their lives. And I was working in a hospital setting, and my husband actually unexpectedly suffered a cardiac arrest, and he was in the hospital for quite some time. And I think it allowed me to do a lot of reflection on our relationship, on our marriage, on myself as a person, and just, what was important to me. And what I learned was that, I didn't want to just show up to a job 9 to 5. I wanted to be there for my husband. I wanted to be there for my family in a way that I hadn't been when I was working in my current role. I was just so stressed all the time. I would come home and it was hard to just make any decisions. And I was just burned out. And I didn't want that for myself anymore. So I kind of dug into some, personal development in that time that my husband was hospitalized, and really just kind of reflected on, I want to do more. I want to have more flexibility. I want to be able to, control my own schedule and how I support people. And so that kind of led me to the coaching realm, and I have just loved it ever since.
Isn't it interesting how COVID on one hand was such a traumatic experience for the whole world? I mean, literally 2 years of trauma But
Yeah.
out of it has come some really phenomenal opportunities and reflection on what's really important to people and how
Yeah.
they can contribute. I think it, on some level, just opened everybody's eyes to the direction the world was headed. And
Yes.
a lot of us were just like, whoa, Nelly, I don't want to go to where that path ends because it's
Right.
looking like a cliff with a really steep drop off to me.
Right.
And then, individually, we've started coming up with, what can I do to be the change I want to see in the world? That's what I say all the time. But it's seriously people, individuals like you. I mean, I'm going to say a little thing like fostering a child. It's not a huge thing, but it is one thing that you can do that's not only going to impact that child's life, but his parents' lives, his other relatives' lives, all of the people that he will ever meet in the world will
Yep.
have been impacted by the difference you made in this one human being's life. You never know where that's going to lead.
You really don't. And I think that a lot of people were afraid of change during COVID, and, that fear of, well, what happens next? And what happens with my job? And for me, I just wanted to embrace the opportunity for change. Yeah, so I think that the fear of what was to come next and the unknown really impacted a lot of people. And for me, I just wanted to have the opportunity to really embrace change and, really think about and reflect on what else can I be doing? How else can I make an impact? Because I didn't feel like I was doing a whole lot to make an impact before that.
Social work is pretty impactful, but it's also really stressful,
Yes.
especially for people that are empathic. And I think we are all on some level empaths, and that, you can't help but feel what other people are feeling when they're going through trauma like that.
Oh,
And the people that you work with are going through some sort of trauma by virtue of the fact that they're working with
yeah.
you.
Yeah, and it's a lot. And I think that, especially with social work, mental health, anybody that works in healthcare, you experience that compassion fatigue and you take on that trauma. And if you're not able to kind of deal with that and manage that as it comes up, which I wasn't. I didn't know until I was too far gone that I was really struggling to manage all of those emotions. And that's where the burnout really came from. And that's where, I wasn't happy going in every day and I wasn't happy doing the job that I was doing. And to know that there could have been something that I could have done differently to prevent that is kind of where I want my impact to come in.
Yeah, and burnout happens in like across the spectrum. You don't have to be a social worker to experience burnout. I think we all realize that no matter what career path you've chosen, burnout's a real issue. And do you have some helpful tips for people to identify when burnout is like on the horizon?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, and I can say this from personal experience, some of these things that I was definitely feeling that I didn't know what they were. And, it would be almost that like, you hear the Sunday scaries, the Sunday is ruined because all you're thinking about is Monday. You have to wake up and go into work. And in the morning, you're just dreading that commute to work or the work that you're doing. You find yourself, not engaged, or you're finding yourself not really passionate about what you're doing. Hopefully you took your job because you had some kind of connection or passion with what you're doing. And if that goes away, that's definitely a warning sign. If you're finding yourself coming home and sleeping a lot, or, fighting with your partner, those are all signs that there might be something going on that we need to manage just a little bit differently.
And how do you help people? I mean, what does that look like working with you?
Yeah. So I think it all starts with really kind of thinking about what's important to you and your priorities. I like to start out not by thinking about goals, but thinking about what are your priorities? What are those two big things that are the most important thing for you? And a lot of times people will say, my family. Well, what does that look like? Are you looking to spend more time with your family? Are you looking to have a different kind of balance? So really kind of digging in, like, what's important and how do we make decisions around what's important? So a lot of times we'll work on boundary setting and confidence in setting your boundaries and identifying how to get more of what you really want and really enjoy in your life. And also implementing healthy habits, getting enough sleep, a balanced diet, exercise, implementing those healthy habits to contribute to the work that you're doing.
All very important things. So I saw that you work with corporations. How does that look?
Yeah, so I work with a couple of different corporations, and what I'll do is I usually do wellness workshops. So sometimes leadership will invite me in, and for instance, in September, I'm going to a local school district and talking to all of their new teachers that are coming in, and so we'll talk about ways to be productive without impacting your work-life balance, how to be able to separate, work life from home life and not become intertwined. Just stress management techniques and tools to fill someone's toolbox, and just practical exercises that somebody might be able to do during the day if they're experiencing high stress. So usually I'll go into small and medium-sized groups and do some workshops. I've done a couple very personalized to what was going on within their organization. So I'll work with leadership, identify, some of their concerns and implement a workshop to help with what specifically they have going on for them. So it could be boundaries, it could be time management, all super fun for me to do.
Very, very interesting. So it sounds like working with corporations, you've kind of got a connection with them. I'm curious, how did the connections start? I mean,
yeah, a couple of them were just through people I knew that were like, oh, hey, you should get in touch with this person, or putting myself out there with networking. I do a lot of online networking and in-person networking. So a lot of it has been meeting new people, and a lot of times they'll ask for, hey, what can you do for me? And so putting together a proposal on how I can support. And one of the areas that I like to kind of highlight is how to prevent, staff turnover. How could a wellness workshop support you in keeping your staff? So that's been really helpful too.
yeah, I can imagine that would be something that many corporations and organizations, not just corporations,
Yeah.
need, because the turnover is so expensive for a company. When you lose a person, instead of just nurturing that person, I mean, there's times when you just have to fire the person because they're just not a good fit. But for the most part, if you can help someone be really happy with the job that they're doing and find fulfillment in it without the burnout, and make adjustments to help in the corporate culture or the organizational culture to foster, positive emotions really among the people that you're working with, and that, it's team oriented, not
absolutely.
on one person.
Yeah. And I'm finding too that, a lot of companies, and this is, been in the past, and I know I've experienced this. And I think there's been a shift in promoting more wellness in workplaces. So I think that, we've gone from this culture of, oh yeah, you should definitely take care of yourself, but I don't really know how to help you with that. And now it's become more of, I really want you to, be well in this workplace, here are the tools to do so. And so I think that creates a unique opportunity for us coaches or, providers or mental health people, whomever is doing it, to get in, because there's been so much, I wouldn't say pressure. I don't know, maybe pressure to just offer more to employees.
And I think having everybody be home for a while, people started to realize, hey, I can have a life and work. And I don't have to live in this paradigm that had been created for us, I think, where we just, got up Monday through Friday and we went to work. And for a lot of people, it was extending to the weekends, and it wasn't like 8 hours a day, it's 12 hours a day, or 14 hours a day, or we expect you to travel and we expect you to be gone away from home. And, it's kind of like when you got to go home, that was the vacation part of your life. It wasn't your real life. And, that's just not a sustainable way to live. And I think so many people got a glimpse of what living could really be like.
I think you're right. I think that, employers and employees were both seeing like, oh, we can do our jobs from at home and do them just as well, just as efficiently. And, I think that there were pros and cons to that for some people, because, some people took that as an opportunity that, I'm home, so now this is my new workspace, and now I work 24/7, and, I don't get outside, or so it's definitely a fine balance. I mean, there are some days when I'm like, I got to go walk to the mailbox because I haven't been outside yet today. So it's definitely something you need to recognize and always think about.
Yeah. And when you're working at home, boundaries are so important.
Yes.
I work from now until now. And then I'm going to close the laptop and I'm going to go have a life. Exactly.
And I think, you touched on nurturers and people who have a lot of empathy. And I think, definitely at the beginning of my career, I had a lot of trouble with that. Because I thought I was way more important than I actually was.
We all struggle with that. So what is the one takeaway that you want to leave for everyone in our audience?
Yeah. So my coaching company is called Kindfulness Coaching. And I just will always remind people to be kind to themselves and give yourself the grace to make mistakes, give yourself the opportunity to change, all while being kind to yourself. And I think that, without filling our own cup, it's so cliche, but without filling our own cup, you're not able to fill anyone else's. So be sure you're getting what you need so that you can help and support the people around you.
Put that life mask on yourself, and then you can help your neighbor.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So tell everyone how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, I can be found at kindfulnesscoaching.com or on Instagram at kindfulnesscoaching.
Perfect. Thanks so much for joining us, Jen. It's been
Thank you
pleasure.
So much, Jill, for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order, or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.